Hello everyone in Unicorn class, year 4 in Cyprus. My name's Alice Humphreys. I'm the author of The Boy Who Biked the World book that you guys have been reading. I'm very jealous of you being in Cyprus, by the way. It's freezing in England. I'm sitting in some trees just outside London in England. It's pretty cold, but I've been cheered up by reading your excellent questions. Thank you very much for them. Right, I'm going to launch in. Alex says, what's your greatest ever adventure? I think everyone's greatest ever adventure is their first big adventure. You remember that for the rest of your life, and all the adventures you do after that get compared to it in some ways. Either they're better than that one, or a bit worse than that one, or different to that one, but I think the first one is always special. So for me, that would be spending 4 years cycling around the world through 60 countries and 5 continents. And that's the story you guys have just read about, the version of my own adventure that I turned into a children's book, turning myself, boring adult, into young child, Tom. Grace says, how many books have you written? Now, I take this as a very good sign, or that I'm getting very forgetful and bad at maths, but I can't really remember. So I think this is a good thing, because it means I'm starting to write a decent number. It's either 12 or 13. I've also made a couple of notebooks that ask questions that people, grown-ups really, can answer to sort of figure their lives out, but I can't really count selling a blank notebook as a book. But I think I've written 12 or 13 proper books, including 4 for children. The 3 Boy Who Biked the World ones you've read, and then a big colour picture book called Great Adventurers, which is about the adventurers who inspired me when I was young. Roughly speaking though, I try and write 1 book a year. That's my writing challenge to myself. I failed in 2020 thanks to good old coronavirus, but generally I do 1 book a year. What did you enjoy about Spain? Asks Mere. I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name, but it's a very good question. What did I enjoy about Spain? I loved Spain because I love the weather, the climate. It's probably similar to what you guys have in Cyprus. I like the food, I like the music, I like the peaceful way of life in the villages. I like the beautiful countryside, the small little villages in the hills with the water fountain in the middle and the little market, and the small little shops and cafes. It's a much slower pace of life than London is. And also I can speak Spanish pretty well, so it's really nice to be able to talk to people in their language. So I just love traveling through Spain. When I walked through Spain playing my violin, that was one of my favorite adventures. If you haven't seen any of that, you can look on YouTube, type in My Midsummer Morning, and you'll see some very bad violin playing by me. Bobby says, how many adventures have you been on? Well, that depends what you count as an adventure, Bobby, and I hope that you can start to find adventures every single day, everywhere. Find places you've never been before. Go from home to school via a different route that you've never been on. So adventures hopefully start to become so many you can't count. But in terms of really big ones, I don't know, maybe 10, something like that. 10 really big ones that I've tried to turn into either books or films. So for quite a few years I tried to do 1 big adventure a year. I'd go off, do a big adventure, come home, write magazine articles or give talks about it to earn money, write a book hopefully, save up money, and then next year go do another adventure. Hamish says, how much money did you make when busking in Spain, and what is enough to survive? Well, maybe you have seen my film then on that. So I made in 1 month 120 euros, which for a normal life, say in England or I get in Cyprus, 120 euros, we all spend more than that just living in a normal life. So in that sense, I didn't earn very much at all. But on the other hand, when you sleep outside and you drink water from the fountains in the villages, and you're happy to buy the cheapest food and cook it on a campfire, then suddenly life becomes very cheap. And also, I was so bad at the violin, I honestly did not think I would earn hardly a penny. I thought it was going to be so hard. So in that sense, earning 120 euros, I suddenly felt so rich. And if you lower the standards of what you think you're going to then you feel really excited when you get something. Oh, it's getting cold here. Tegan Seren says, what gave you the idea of biking the world? Great question. It was reading books of other adventurers, reading stories of crazy men and women who'd gone off to mad places around the world and had wonderful experiences. And you guys, those of you who travel around from country to country from your schools, you're miles ahead of me in terms of adventures and exploring the world and seeing different ways of life at your age. And that's really the sort of thing that I wanted to see for myself, to see what things were like over the horizon. And then I chose traveling by bike because it's a really cheap way of going, and because it's slow and simple, but not so slow that you can still get a decent amount of distance. So I think traveling by bike is the best way to travel. Jonatani, sorry if I pronounce a couple of these names badly. What's your next adventure? Oh man, I have no idea. We are still in jolly old lockdown here in England. Don't really know when it's going to finish, don't really know what's going to happen after that, don't really know how far we'll be able to travel. So probably for the first time in about 25 years, I can't answer the question of what is my next adventure. But I'm very much looking forward to it, whatever it turns out to be. Hazel, what was the easiest and the most difficult countries to cycle? Well, easy would be places like, let's choose America, because the language was the same for me. The road signs I could read, unlike say in China. The roads were really good quality, unlike say in Sudan. The water was safe to drink, unlike huge parts of the world. Yeah, so that just felt easy. And then difficult, well, now that I'm cold outside in England, and it's probably about, I don't know, 5 degrees, I will choose cycling through Russia in the middle of winter at -40 degrees. That was really, really hard. Slipping and skidding on ice, struggling to put up your tent with frozen fingers, fixing punctures with frozen fingers. Yeah, that was hard. Rory, what did you eat on your cycling journey and what bike did you use? I ate a lot of banana sandwiches. Not quite as many as Tom in the book you've read, but a lot. And generally I just ate the cheapest food in every country. So whatever was cheap, that's what I ate, because I didn't really have much money. I wasn't eating sensible, nutritious food like a proper sporting cyclist. I was just eating cheap. The bike I had was a pretty basic steel mountain bike. No suspension, no clip-in pedals, just nice and simple so that it wouldn't break. It was steel because if the frame breaks, then you can fix it in any country in the world. So it wasn't carbon fibre. Pretty cheap bike, cost me £400. Yeah, it's just a normal steel mountain bike with panniers clipped on, so I could fit the bags on and with all my stuff in. Joey, what is the toughest adventure you had and your lowest moments in extreme environments? Good question. 9 years ago today, I finished rowing across the Atlantic Ocean, so I might choose that as my toughest. Thousands of miles from land, no escape even if you wanted to. 2 hours of rowing, 2 hours of sleeping, 2 hours of rowing, 2 hours of sleeping, 2 hours of rowing, 2 hours of sleeping. Keep that going for 45 days and nights through storms and big waves and the night and the boiling heat, eating dehydrated camping type food, getting really seasick. That was pretty tough, and I had some of my loneliest moments out on the Atlantic. Yeah, that was hard. Logan says, what food did you enjoy in Spain? Well, I said earlier how much I love the food of Spain, the tapas, and up in Galicia, northern Spain where I was, the really nice Galician food. I say how much I love all those things, but because I was having to pay for the food by my terrible violin playing, I was not eating those nice fancy foods. I wasn't eating at cafes. Again, I was just eating the cheapest food. So generally I'd buy a big fresh loaf of bread in the morning. When the bakery opened, I'd have a couple of bananas in the day, peanuts, they're cheap, and then at night I'd cook rice and maybe tomatoes, onions, something like that, cook them over a campfire. But the best thing about simple food is when you're on a hard trip and you're tired and really burning up energy, then every food tastes so delicious. The teachers So what advice would you share to children and families struggling to get outdoors or be adventurous during these difficult times? What makes you happy at the moment? Well, bloomin' heck, it's, I don't know if you're allowed to say that. That's not a swear word, by the way. It is, sorry. No, bloomin' heck, that's not a swear word. That's a farmer thing to say. Bloomin' heck, lockdown, it's hard. Oh, I'm turning into a pirate. It's hard to motivate yourselves to get outside. It's hard when you're not allowed to go to all sorts of fun places. It's tempting just to be and watch TV or play on the Nintendo Switch. But without fail, this is my experience, but also science, getting outside every day, whatever the weather, burn up some energy and get some sunlight on your face is good for your physical and mental health. It makes you happier. So if you're feeling grumpy or sad or lonely or out of energy, then go for a walk. That's a good thing to do. And what I've been doing in lockdown is, because I can't go far, I've been climbing the same tree every month just to notice the seasons change and notice nature change. I've been trying to explore every single street in the town where I live, to go down every little road and be an explorer exactly where I live. And just recently I've bought a map of the area where I live, and I'm trying to explore every single square on it, every kilometre of my local map. And you know what? Even though I've been locally exploring for years, I call them micro adventures, even now in lockdown I'm finding so many places I've never been before. So try and just find somewhere you've never been before and go there, and then you are being an explorer. That would be my advice. And the other thing is, this is a good advice that comes from adventures like rowing oceans, is try and think about the things you can control. None of us, unless you're a president or a prime minister, none of us can control COVID and lockdown. We can't control that, so there's no point worrying and stressing and getting angry about it. What can we control? We control what we do every day, deciding to take on a new project, trying to read a new book. I've just spent 30 days trying to learn to draw. I'm rubbish. I spent 30 days trying to learn the piano. I'm rubbish. I've spent 30 days trying to learn a handstand. I'm rubbish. So just try new things that you can control, and don't worry about the things that are beyond us. And also tick off the days like cycling around the world. You do a little bit today, a little bit tomorrow, a little bit the day after that, and little by little, before you know it, you'll have gone a long way and time will have passed. So day by day, we will all get there. But it's not easy, so don't expect to be living a perfect life during this lockdown. I certainly am not doing it, so just try and do your best every day. Go outside, go explore somewhere new, and we'll be through it soon. Thank you so much for all your questions, and good luck with all of your own adventures. Bye bye.